Cleetus McFarland. I think we're going to have probably a little decent talk about Cleetus here and how he has done so far at NASCAR, how his weekend in Rockingham went, and also we're recording this not too long after the news has came out that Cleetus McFarland has not been approved for Talladega, and ultimately, just to that point, I'm not all that surprised that he didn't get approved to Talladega. And I want to give my thoughts here first on this because I did see Cleetus McFarland's vlog on his channel. I watched the whole vlog, and I would say I have a slightly different opinion than what I had on Saturday, just for getting more of an in-depth look and more of a feel on what Cleetus was truly dealing with in that O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race. And right before I do talk about that O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race, I do quickly want to go through what happened in ARCA East. I was extremely impressed about what he did in that ARCA East race. He ran top 5 all day long. He proved to me in that race, and I heard Danny Laurence say this in his vlog, and I 100% agree with him. You proved to me that you could be a race car driver, that you can do this. He really impressed me in that ARCA East race. He was competitive. He was making passes. He wasn't knocking anybody out of the way. He was being smart. You can tell that he's actually learned how to drive those cars in the couple races that he's raced. He was racing around drivers at times that were above his competition. Like at one point, he made a pass on Max Reeves, and Max Reeves is like half of Cleetus's age, but Max Reeves has more than double of Cleetus's experience. Plus, Max Reeves is in a Joe Gibbs racing car compared to a Rhett Jones Ford. So there's a big difference there. He was racing around Kitzmiller a lot. Jason Kitzmiller, to be exact, was racing around him a lot. Made some passes throughout the day and just overall looked very competitive in that ARCA Menards East race. Had a little burnout on the front straightaway post-race. Gave an interview on the front straightaway. Was hyping up the fans. Honestly, one of the best moments I've ever seen in ARCA was the post-race for Cleetus, because you can tell how happy he was. He said that's the most fun he's ever had in a race car. It was awesome to see. It was awesome to see, and he showed that he does have the potential to be a NASCAR driver at one point if he continues to work at it. He did show that potential, in my opinion, in that ARCA East race. But that O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race, I would say he definitely struggled for sure. I would say the reaction that his O'Reilly Series race online has been, in my opinion, one of the weirdest reactions I've ever seen, because the people that were wishing that Cleetus would fail are celebrating, and then the people that were wishing that Cleetus would succeed are also celebrating. It doesn't really make much sense to me. I think everybody is just kind of stuck in what they wanted from Cleetus, and I'm kind of on the fence on how I feel about his performance. On one end, what was truly expected? What was expected from Cleetus? He doesn't have any experience in the O'Reilly Series, and his first ever race in the O'Reilly Series is going to be at Rockingham, and he doesn't really have any experience as a professional race car driver. He has some ARCA races. He raced like 2 laps in the Truck Series at Daytona, and that's really it. I mean, he's raced his Crown Vics, and he's raced whatever he races down at the Freedom Factory in Florida, so he has extremely little experience, so there wasn't much to be expected there. But at the same time, he did complete the race. He obviously finished a couple laps down. He did complete the race, and he didn't wreck the race car, which is cool. Some of you that may have heard my car on the haul or on my little spiel about that, some things I said in there I didn't know the real facts to. Like at the end of this race, for example, I thought he was just trying to make sure he got to the end of this race without wrecking his race car, which was, because some of you may have saw in those last couple of laps, he got lapped a couple of times in the last like 20, 30 laps or something like that. He was going extremely slow at the end of this race, and him not trying to wreck his race car and total his race car at the end of this race and try to make it to the finish was half true, because the other half was he was on 40-lap-year-old scuffed tires and ended up finishing that race on 100-lap-old tires. So I give him a little bit of credit, I guess, when it comes to that. Overall, how I feel about this is that I still don't think he's ready for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Nonetheless, he got offered to race there, and I think every single one of us, if we got offered to race at Richard Childress Racing, whether it was Daytona, Rockingham, Bowman Gray, Watkins Glen, it doesn't matter. I think every single one of us that are watching this video and like NASCAR would have been like, fuck yeah, I want to race for Richard Childress in a race. That sounds awesome, you know? So I keep that on there. But in my opinion, his skill level, he wasn't ready at all, and the sim doesn't really prep you enough. I mean, it preps you for sure when it comes to lap. The aero, I think aero is the big thing, and I feel like he really struggled with aero quite a bit. And one thing that I mentioned also I made a Cleetus McFarland exclusive talk video over on my Trackside Larry channel yesterday. And one thing I got into, and we see this even with the Cup Series guys at points, that they've raced so many laps earlier on in the day or the day before in a different car and kind of get stuck driving that car like the other car. Like I noticed in this race, at points in this race, he was driving into the corner like he was racing in an ARCA car. When he was racing in the O'Reilly car that has more horsepower, you need to use more brake, you need to be slower into the corners than with the ARCA car. Also a completely different line as well. Like with the O'Reilly car, you got to enter a little more higher, I've noticed. The ARCA car, you can enter a little bit lower on the racetrack. So I think he got stuck in the habits from the ARCA car compared to the O'Reilly car in the race. He was definitely struggling mightily in that car. And I just don't know if he was quite ready for it. And he hasn't been approved for Talladega. And I would honestly agree with that because he did wreck himself a couple of times. One thing I did learn after the race, because once again, TV didn't do a great job of telling us, or obviously there wasn't any camera views. So they weren't able to show us, but they could have told us because obviously Cleetus wrecked himself that one time and he almost spun himself out 2 other times. But then there was 2 more times where he almost self-spun, or at least I thought. One of those times, Austin Hill got into the back of him. He almost spun it. And then the other one, I still don't know which driver was underneath him, but a driver was underneath him and got into the door of him very slightly, or the quarter panel very slightly, and that got him sideways as well. So I'll give him a little bit more benefit of the doubt when it comes to that. And my overall just finisher when it comes to this, before I let Cory give his thoughts on it and we talk about it a little bit more, is he ready? No. Should be improved for Talladega? No. Is he out there clearly improving though? Yes, he's definitely improving. He definitely has the passion for it. The fans love him. So ultimately, I agree with that he shouldn't have been approved for Talladega, because I don't think it's fair to have a driver that, first of all, didn't make any live green flag pit stops. That's something NASCAR really wanted. And a driver that didn't just self-spin one time, almost self-spun a couple of other times. At that point, you got to be worried about him being a danger on the racetrack. And plus, you have to keep in mind, his Truck Series debut was at a super speedway, and he self-spun himself out in the very, very early going of that event. So I would have to agree that he's not ready for Talladega. I think he should get at least one more race under his belt in the O'Reilly Series. Probably will be at Kansas. We'll have to see what happens there. Cory, what are your overall thoughts on this whole Cleetus McFarland situation? Because I know he kind of sees everything that we really say on this. I really respect Cleetus. I'm a big fan of Cleetus. But if I'm being honest and I'm being fair, I don't necessarily mind him learning. I'm okay with him learning. But for him to get approved for a track like Talladega, and a lot of other drivers don't get approved for a track like Talladega, I don't think it would be fair at all to see him out there in the field. But Cory, what are your overall thoughts on Cleetus McFarland? You can even talk about his ARCA race a little bit if you want. How do you overall feel about Cleetus's progress? How do you feel about his performance at Rockingham? And ultimately, do you think he should be approved for Talladega, or do you think he should have to do another race?
With everything considered, I think he had a good weekend. If you looked at Saturday as a whole, he probably didn't.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, though he had some ridiculous saves, he kept his car clean for the most part, besides spinning out a bunch. But I think NASCAR definitely made the right decision, the right call, because imagine, and this is all hypothetical talking, right? But imagine it's 30 laps into the race, 30 laps to go, and he wrecks and he takes out Sheldon Creed, takes out Justin Allgaier, takes out, you know, people vying for a championship, all because Cleetus made a mistake because he got rushed into racing at Talladega in the O'Reilly series. Like that would be the worst of worsts for his like NASCAR career, you know? And I'm reading something that Bob posted that I completely agree with. They said that he's approved right now for O'Reilly series short tracks, which means he's good for all ARCA and all of truck, but in just O'Reilly short tracks, which I think that's awesome. I mean, he went from having no NASCAR experience at all, what, a year and a half ago, to
Hmm.
he's approved for all of Truck Series racing, all of ARCA racing, and short tracks for the O'Reilly series. That's a huge improvement. Like he's not. I mean, I'm happy for him that he's approved for as many tracks as he is. I'm not. No one expected him to come in here and win it, but he has to earn the respect of NASCAR and when I mean respect, I mean driving etiquette, driving respect, able to show that you belong before you're just rushed into racing at Talladega with people fighting for a championship in the O'Reilly series. I would love to see more Cleetus. I think we all would love to see more Cleetus, but I think
For
NASCAR
sure.
definitely made the right call.
Yeah, I would agree, and that makes it interesting now because that means that he wouldn't be allowed to race Kansas in the O'Reilly series. So that means that for some way, somehow, he would have to race at Bristol this weekend in the O'Reilly series, or he's not racing Talladega for Richard Childress Racing. That's a little caveat in there. That's quite interesting what you just said there, Corey. And one thing I would really like to see from Cleetus, I don't think it would happen, but like I said, with that ARCA East race, he honestly really impressed me. I thought he looked very impressive. He looked competitive. He looked like he got into the flow of it, and he was having a good time. I personally, and I don't like I said, I don't think this is going to happen, but I would love for him to just race all the rest of the ARCA races. I would love for him to race the rest of the ARCA season because if he did race the rest of the ARCA season and participated in every race, I don't think he'd win a championship or even be competitive for a championship. But I think by the end of the year, as long as he's not out there with like I don't know, Brent Cruz or somebody like that, one of these like amazing like like uh prodigy sort of drivers out there, like Tristan McKee, like he's another prodigy driver that we're gonna have to start talking more about because he's really impressed me. And I think he's only 15 years old. That kid's freaking amazing. But I can see him competing for wins in ARCA before the year's up. I truly can. He looks competitive. He looked competitive at Rockingham. Rockingham's not an easy track. Rockingham's a very difficult racetrack, and he was keeping up. He was running fourth most of the day, and I think that's where he ultimately finished was fourth. He was running fourth most of the day and was keeping up with the top three at least for the first 15, 20 laps of a run. I don't know. We didn't get on too many long runs, so maybe if we got on some longer runs in that Arca Menards East Series race, we would have seen maybe how he does on the longer runs to see how much tire fall off, how much tire he's really using to keep up with the leaders. But the fact that he was able to keep up with the leaders and occasionally make passes on drivers like Jason Kitzmiller, who's been racing for a long time, Max Reeves, who is looked at to be one of those prodigy sort of drivers, especially with Joe Gibbs Racing. Him able to do all that stuff is very impressive. Very impressive about Cleetus, at least in that ARCA race and with the O'Reilly race. Once again, I don't know what you'd really expect from him. I would have liked for him to finish less laps down. I would have liked for him to almost spin. I would like for him to not almost spin himself out a little less times. But other than that, I would say I'm on the fence about it. I wouldn't say I was impressed by his O'Reilly series. Definitely wasn't impressed, but I wasn't like completely out on him because I think there is some people that are completely out on him at this point, and he's definitely already shown progress in ARCA, and he kind of got fed to the wolves. Your first O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race is at Rockingham. In my opinion, he kind of got fed to the wolves with that, and he admitted a lot of his mistakes when he almost self-spun on lap 4 on the inside trying to go 3 wide. He said during his vlog, he said during the race, he said multiple times that he thought that was a dumbass move by him and he doesn't know why he did that. He just got too confident in the moment. And I think that was also partially because he was used to driving the ARCA car. And that's one thing that he's going to have to deal with as well. I think that's going to potentially be a big issue for him, because we see it with Cup Series drivers quite a bit, where they get used to driving the truck or used to driving the O'Reilly Series car. Then they get in the Cup car in those first couple of laps, whether it's practice or the race or whatever, they seem to struggle quite a bit trying to figure out how to get back in the groove of driving that car at that track compared to the other car at that track. So that's something he's going to have to deal with as well. But let us know your thoughts in the comments about Cleetus McFarland. I think this is a big talking point. I'm happy that Cleetus is getting his opportunity, and I'm hoping that we continue to see him improve, because I think he's a great thing for the sport. And I also think the sport is a great thing for Cleetus, because he seemed like he really enjoyed himself. It sounded like the ARCA race was one of the best moments of his life. When the O'Reilly Series race, it didn't sound like it was one of the worst moments of his life, but he said it was the most difficult thing he has ever done. So I want to see more Cleetus. I definitely want to see more Cleetus, but maybe not at Talladega. But let us know your thoughts in the comments. How do you feel about Cleetus McFarland's overall performance so far in his very short NASCAR racing career? And how do you feel about his overall performance at Rockingham during Easter weekend?